Portfolio. What will you learn in portfolio? What are the key features of a good portfolio? If someone can be hired by looking at a portfolio, what are the details that make that portfolio special? How should arrangements be made that can help a portfolio be aesthetically and technically flawless? In the portfolio section, where you will find answers to all these questions, you will examine tactics and strategies through a sample portfolio. The example in this chapter is in many ways a very inclusive and fruitful one. Because in this example, there is no unnecessary details, but only a minimal approach and a composition that aims to highlight architectural drawings. This example contains a lot of projects to give you an idea, but our advice to you is to put only your best projects in your portfolio. The number of projects in a good portfolio should be less than 10. If your projects are very good, a great portfolio can be made with just 3 projects. If you're ready, here we go. Portfolio. Creating layouts for all types of possibilities. In this section, we'll go over what to look out for in a portfolio. We will see how illustration, modeling and combination steps are handled in the presentation stages. In this portfolio, the buildings are segmented according to their functions. In this context, it consists of the titles cultural, housing, future, mixed use and retail, urban, facades, social, stands, interior and sports. Of course, it is useful to start the portfolio with the title of the project that best reflects your work as a whole. It is very important that simplicity and the project itself are emphasized in the portfolio, and that it is not presented with unnecessary details. Let's look at the general template applied in all projects and included in the first sheet of each project. The first page can be completed by using a large image at the top, a summary text on the left, and another important image of the project on the right. On the following pages, an arrangement can be made by ordering them in order of importance, without exceeding the number of 6 sheets. Now let's take a look at some project-specific approaches. For example, the name of this project is Dialectical Space and Architecture Museum. Therefore, it consists of museology and experimentation steps. Since the project includes such a priority, it is necessary to mention the experience routes of museum users. These diagrams convey the experience of the architectural museum through modeling and cross-sectional perspectives. Afterwards, there are isometric diagrams, renderings and drawings on the relationship of the new building to the existing historical building. The next step is the housing. It is possible to see the same design template on the first page of each project. Whatever the main idea of each project is, they should be included in the first sheet. You can show the viewer what page it is in with the points below on the right, and you can give information about yourself and the portfolio in the upper right corner. Sometimes, though, the priority may be to highlight some visuals. If you only worked on the visualization step of the project, it is possible to include these images in your portfolio. If you are going to create a collage of similar pieces, you should do it with a simple and modular expression technique. In next section, there is a housing project. Sometimes housing projects come to the fore with the site plan details and how the concept of neighborhood between the blocks is evaluated. Emphasize whatever value stands out in your project. Don't try to explain everything at once. In the other project, concepts such as prefabricated installation, regional needs, temporary installation scenarios for seasonal workers, transformable spaces and shipping opportunities stand out. In a social housing project, you can also express the modular mobility in the area with the sketching technique. The sketching technique will show the aspects of the project that are open to development and its thought through layers together. And the other title is future title. Space theme, nanotechnology, biomorphic structures can be discussed under this title. Color inverted illustrations help create a dramatic effect for futuristic themes. Dark backgrounds, neon details, linear transparent isometric perspectives can help you identify this language. Of course, the future also evokes the words of modulation and flexibility. If you don't need a dramatic effect and want to convey the flow between the actions by choosing the linear style, you can go with a white background and a 3-color limitation. The lessons that can be drawn from the elasticity for intersection project can be listed as follows. Even if you have to design a single structure while working on metropolises, definitely tell and discuss the potential for change in the area of influence. When a mass is designed, does that building create new sources of news? Does it create new interaction routes? What is the relationship between the transportation axes and the building? Look for answers to these questions. The Dots of Light project is an example of how pedestrian movements can define space. Here we do not see a closed space directly, but an open space that the modules redefine each time. And one more modularity solution, Disaster 101. This is a project involving the design of sheltered, transformable modules for solutions that can be produced in the event of a natural disaster. Even when designing a shelter, social relationships and accessibility must be considered. In the mixed-use and retail title, it is possible to see examples in which commercial and residential functions are handled together with public space solutions. In high-rise design, designing the first 2 floors in a way that also allows for public flow brings the skyscraper effect to an accessible scale for the city dweller. Whether you are designing a horizontal or vertical skyscraper, in either case, presenting the design steps diagrammatically is essential to show that the structure did not come about by chance. In this type of projects, examine the shopping center projects that stand out with their public solutions, in which natural ventilation solutions are used in order to gradually design the transition between the indoor, semi-open space and open space. Make sure to distinguish between residential access and office access, personnel access and customer access. The required volumes and access routes for the technical shaft and parking garage should not affect the building's dominant facades and aesthetic value. In such structures, do not let the visual pollution caused by private cars or trucks in the parking lot get in the way of the project. Keep up with the contemporary approaches by using features such as movable facade and new generation membranes in similar projects. In the following examples, you can see how the step-by-step design of the high-rise is expressed with diagrams. In the project named Public Or, there is an example of how an orthogonal building group can be presented with a different perception of form by using certain horizontal grids and sunshades. The grid on the building gives it a new form and allows for the creation of new public spaces. With this approach, it is also possible to produce rich, multi-layered sections. The title of Urban consists of projects related to the analysis and development of urban connections, access routes and local scenarios. In the Expo example, you see the related dome structures and the transformation of the landscape as a result of elliptical design principles. The project titled Missed Eras shows that 2 distant structures can also give references of axes to each other. And the next square design is an example of how limiting the choice of materials can strengthen the composition. In the facades section, you will see the modulation and variety of facades and some of the additional walls they can create on the facade. Feel free to present the best alternatives you have worked on here in order. Create new orthogonal compositions by working in multiples of each other, such as x, 2x, 4x, for facade modulations in structures, such as punto. You can give comprehensive information about floors through an isometric cross-section perspective. In the project named Amirgan House, you see that you can express the sketch technique and renovation solutions together. Istini entrance, when designing gates for mass housing units, different forms and materials can be associated with each other in a composition. And the flow of knowledge/Jakarta is given as another example of route designs in the city. In order to make an abstract theme such as flow of knowledge concrete, it is necessary to design the routes with an approach reminiscent of cognitive networks. Social settlement, an example of projects that benefit from the advantages of fast installation and flexible modulation of the steel structure. You can use the Tekla program for unique steel joint details. You can enrich your portfolio by finding competitions to participate in with civil engineers. In the coffee kiosk and exhibition stand projects, you see that you can create original solutions by designing the modules which provide ease of installation. In interior projects, show the floors as isometric models. It will be a much stronger expression than plans and sections. If you have designed an original system detail, strengthen the narrative by including that detail. In sports complex projects, it is expected that innovations such as steel system design, wide-span structure design, contemporary facade systems, membranes and suspension tension systems will be used together. After analyzing the functions, present a dynamic architectural solution that will reflect the dynamism of the sport. This may include solutions such as movable panels, switch-on systems or energy collectors. You can examine the portfolio in detail within the scope of all this training set. Remember, there are many different portfolio options online. This presentation was to give you a general framework. Please view the architectural portfolios of students and graduates from the world's leading architecture universities. Create an original portfolio design by combining the criteria from your 3 favorites and what you've learned here. Success and good luck. Portfolio. End of section.